Good Tuesday evening to you. We will get to all of those top stories in just a moment, but we begin tonight's newscast with breaking news. A motorcyclist is dead and a roadway is closed down tonight and will be for hours.
WFFT, the area's only 10 o'clock local newscast with Dan Ball.
Good Thursday evening to you. I'm Dan Ball. Thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight, the city of Fort Wayne has submitted the proposed 2015 budget. President Obama here in our valley again tonight, getting ready to visit a local UPS distribution center tomorrow. Air Force One touched down over at McCarran just after 6:30 this evening. And I'm Dan Ball, live on the GOP candidate trail here in Nevada. We'll have a live report with Ron Paul and talk more about all the candidates and how they're vying for your vote just less than 24 hours before the Nevada caucuses. News 3 at 4 starts right now.
My co-anchor, Dan Ball, also on the road following Ron Paul. Dan?
Well, right now we're at the Leatherneck Club. That's on Spring Mountain in Arville. Marie, in just about an hour or so, Ron Paul due to show up actually at American Shooters, which is a gun store and shooting range just behind the Leatherneck Club. He's going to do a little meet and greet there. And good Friday morning to you. I'm News 3's Dan Ball. We're live at Nellis Air Force Base, making Christmas a bit brighter. Trees for the troops. Stay tuned.
It's heavy snow on the Las Vegas Strip. Dan Ball is with our affiliate there, KVBC. Dan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Matt. You know, as you said, our motto here is what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. But you know what? Snow is something that usually does not happen here. It started falling yesterday afternoon, about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We received about 3 to 4 inches on the Strip. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell admitting he got it wrong. Goodell has come under fire for his handling of the Ray Rice domestic abuse scandal lately. Goodell apologizing and says that the NFL needs to get their house in order. That's his quote.
Here we've got Dan Ball with us to cover the crowds down here on the Strip. Are you ready for the craziness out there?
I am ready for America's Party 2010. Let me tell you, I was out on the Strip a few minutes ago, and I think we should change the name to the World's Party because people are from everywhere across the globe here in Las Vegas to party tonight. It's a madhouse out there.
President Obama traveled to Connecticut today to push for an increase in the federal minimum wage, just one day after the White House submitted its 2015 budget proposal to Congress. Fox News correspondent Michelle Macaluso now has more from D.C. I am not going to ask anymore when this winter will end, because every day it's another round of the white stuff.
We have till the 20th officially.
Good Monday evening to you. I'm Dan Ball. Thanks for joining us. Our top story is, of course, once again, the wintry weather. And we have team coverage of this latest blast from Kristen in our weather center here in our warm studio to Charlie DeMar with the latest on road conditions and the cost and the toll it's taking on INDOT, their staff, and their equipment. But we begin our broadcast tonight with our weekend meteorologist, Andrew Logson, who's live also outside of our studios here on Hillegas, the northwest side of Fort Wayne, with the very latest on this storm. For the Goldman family, this was a day 14 years in the making, seeing O.J. Simpson in shackles, headed to prison. All right, you see it right there. This is surveillance video. A man running out of the Bellagio lobby after stealing over $1 million worth of casino chips. And the manhunt still on tonight for this guy after he robbed the casino at gunpoint. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Ball. Senator McCain, thanks for joining us. First of all, let's start with the rescue or bailout plan. You're in D.C. right now. We've heard this morning reports already that both sides of the aisle are close to coming to an agreement. What can you tell us is the latest so far? Thank you for that, Kristen. Happy Election Tuesday. I'm Dan Ball. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a lot to get to when it comes to election 2014 coverage. And tonight, the big winners in our area and our region seem to be a lot of Republicans. And that's where we go live right now to WFT's Andrew Logson. He's over at Cerruti's in the northwest part of Fort Wayne, where Republicans showed up to celebrate and party tonight. And you spoke with a few of these winners. Fox News reporting now the Republicans only 2 Senate seats away from taking control of the Senate. So that balance of power could shift, something we'll watch throughout our broadcast. If we find out in the next 40 minutes, we'll let you know. Shortly after 10 o'clock this morning is when a Metro officer tried to pull a pickup truck over in the area of Torrey Pines and Twain. Let me go ahead and show you what's going on right now. This is a residential area just off of Twain to the west of Jones. A whole lot of Metro officers out here. We saw K-9 units. SWAT also had their armored vehicle out here. What we're told is the person jumped out of that truck during the traffic stop, ran away from officers. One of the officers fired a single shot. A young Fort Wayne man is dead after a shooting late last evening. And the dramatic scene is all captured on video. Several neighbors witnessed the scene firsthand and even captured it on their home security cameras. Take a look at this dramatic video. You're actually going to see where a van comes to a stop in this neighborhood. Then a dark SUV passes it, and then it stops. Then a man jumps out of the SUV and begins firing. again and again and again at the van. In all, police believe that nearly 50 shots were fired at DeMarcus Holman while he sat in that van.
Dan, we understand 2 people were on board that plane.
Yeah, 2 people that are very, very lucky tonight, Sophia and Kendall. Let me get out of the way right now and show you what the scene looks like now, and then we'll back up and tell you what happened. This is a small experimental aircraft. It took off from the Las Vegas airport shortly before 5. It's called a Dragonfly, and if we take some video Sky 3 and Tom Holly shot earlier after this plane went down here on Rancho, you can get a better bird's eye view of what we're looking at. Now, there was 2 people on board this plane, we're told by eyewitnesses, and shortly after takeoff, we believe it had some engine trouble. I'm getting that from eyewitnesses that were in several cars that saw the plane coming down literally on top of them. And I'm Dan Ball, live at McCarran International. The president visiting our valley for the 5th time since he became president. On the heels of his State of the Union address, what are Republicans saying about his message? We'll have that coming up after the break. The weather, gorgeous out here. KJ, fill us in.
All right, Dan, thank you.
3 days later now, Marie, survivors in some of the hardest hit areas like that right there, also dealing with something they didn't expect after this storm, a blanket of snow on top of it. Here's some video that came into us courtesy of KNBC, our sister station out in LA. You can see helicopters there dousing this big wildfire. Right now, we know that the northbound lanes, all but one, have been opened, but CHP is actually having to escort cars through. So if you have friends or family members from SoCal coming to Vegas this weekend, going to take them a long time. All the southbound lanes are still closed this hour. You do have alternate routes. Now, we've put the number on the screen for CHP's traffic office. It's 1-800-427-7623.
Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jenna. You know, this is the best possible news that a reporter gets to report. 6-year-old Cole Puffenberger is back at home safe and sound, unharmed after being gone for 4 days missing. Now, he was found just before 11 o'clock last evening here in Las Vegas.
What can you tell us?
You know, details were sketchy at first, Jess, but let me tell you what eyewitness accounts and Metro have pieced together so far. My photographer, Chris, and I got here just about 15 minutes after this shooting actually took place. The Palm Mortuary here located on Main Street near Washington, and that service, as you said, was being held for 21-year-old Andy Alina. He's the man who was stabbed to death on that skywalk just about a week and a half ago on the 25th of June between the MGM and New York, New York. Well, they were holding that memorial service tonight for him here between 3 and 7, and at about 7 o'clock, when dozens of mourners were walking out, there was a man, this is what eyewitnesses say, mingling in the crowd, a young Hispanic male in his early 20s. He got in some sort of verbal argument with some of the people here mourning, then pulled out a handgun and sprayed the crowd, hitting 7 people. From eyewitness accounts, he fired at least 9 or 10 shots. Welcome back. Let's take a look around the world now. Australia says one of its citizens, a member of ISIS, is urging his followers back home in that country to behead people. Now, 15 people have been detained for questioning. This after raids across Sydney this week. I started my career in broadcasting, serving as a combat journalist in the military. I'm very proud to have served my country. Here at News 3, I get to serve the military and veterans of Southern Nevada.
Dan has helped U.S. vets raise thousands of dollars to support our programs for homeless and at-risk veterans.
We're very, very thankful that he has the reports that he does to tell the people about the sacrifices made by the men and women in uniform.
I have the best job in the world of telling the stories of those who've served. Thank you for your service.
Watch for Dan Ball's Hometown Heroes reports on News 3.
Back, folks, before we leave you tonight, I want to update you on that breaking news out of Fort Hood down in Killeen, Texas. The general there speaking about the shooting that happened a couple hours ago. It was a male soldier who was an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran. The general confirming he did have PTSD, was seeking treatment, was on medication, got into an altercation with several armed police officers on the base. There was a shootout. 4 people, including the gunman, dead tonight, several injured. We will continue to monitor this breaking news, have more on FortWayneHomepage.net, and more, of course, on tomorrow evening's broadcast right here on WFFT Local, first at 10. And before we say goodnight, a final check of that soggy 7-day.